Hello there once again. If you're tuning in, you're watching the weekend show right here on KTV2, the family channel. Our guest right now, right here in the studio, we have with us Dana Salem, and Dana is a dietitian at Dasman Diabetes Institute. Dana, welcome to the program tonight.
Thank you for having me, Tariq.
It's nice to have you with us right here on the weekend show. And our main topic tonight, we're going to be talking about Ramadan. The holy month of Ramadan is coming up very shortly, and it's a time where a lot of people are at home, family gatherings, and a lot of food after breaking the fast is involved. So let's start out right away with the futur time. So what are some good healthy tips to break the fast, even though this year it's going to be a long fasting time and it's right during the hot period of summer, Dana?
First of all, I'd like to congratulate everyone on the coming of this holy month. And I'd like to remind everybody that this month is meant to be about self-discipline, and that shouldn't stop just because we've broken our fast. Continuing in our healthy habits is very important this year. Especially because we're not fasting that long this year. It's a very short fast, so we shouldn't be cramping in the normal amount of food that we'd be eating in Ramadan into these few hours. We should take it as an advantage that this is a good year for us to lose some weight, actually. Futur time, a good way to keep your portions controlled is, first of all, when you start breaking your fast, instead of going straight to eating, someone should have a couple of dates, a glass of yogurt, get up, maybe go pray, give yourself some time to raise your blood sugar. Exactly, just yeah, kind of warm yourself up a little bit so that you don't go crazy when you see the food. Start with a salad, maybe drink a little bit of water, try to replenish that, and then slowly get into the food. Try to keep your portions about the same as they usually are right now. If your plate is in front of you, a good way to think about it would be split the plate in half and then 2/4. The first half should have vegetables, and the 2/4 should be split between proteins and carbs. So that would be the rice or the pasta or the bread or whichever kind of carb that you'd like at that meal. Try not to have more than one plate. Give yourself 15 minutes or 20 minutes before you go for a second plate, just to make sure you really are still hungry. Of course, as we get further into the month, you're going to get more used to the whole fasting thing, so you'll be able to control yourself a little bit more. But at the beginning of the month, it's very important to practice self-control and self-discipline and try to hold back from diving into the amount of food that's in front of you.
Very well said, but very difficult for myself, Sarah. So.
Yeah, I like to start with liquids. I think I lack it during the day, so it's good. But I have a sweet tooth as well. What about sweet things after breaking your fast?
Well, when it comes to sweet things, we have very high calorie desserts in the Arabic culture.
Yeah, so dense.
Very dense, and that's probably because back in the day, people needed all that energy to do all the manual work that they used to do. But since we don't really do much manual work, we shouldn't be eating the same quantities. For example, 2 lgemats that are Kuwaiti traditional desserts have around 130 to 150 calories, just the 2 of them. So if someone had just like let themselves go and had a few extra, that's really going to pack out the pounds. Exactly, you're just going to keep eating it, and then at the end of the month you're going to realize that your weight is shot up and you don't know why.
Right.
But it's all those desserts that you really don't need. Good things to try doing are either get yourself used to having fruits or fruit yogurts instead of desserts, and only treat yourself to desserts when people are over, or if you've had people over and you can't get yourself out of the situation.
And what about for males and females? Is it different, the diets, like the calories and stuff that they should take?
Well, yes, of course. The calorie needs for each person is different based on their gender, their age, their height, their weight, all of those put together into this equation. But we could generalize and say that usually an average male needs around 2,000 calories, and a woman would need less than that, would say around 1,600 calories. And the more active you are, the more you're allowed to eat, obviously. But in either case, both of them shouldn't be letting themselves go in this month unless you are intending on exercising.
Now what about the ghabga, or the light meal? supposedly light meal that is between iftar time and suhoor. What do you recommend for that?
Well, on a usual year, if it was in winter, I'd probably suggest a bigger meal in between the two, because we'd have more space. But because it's only about 7 hours of eating time basically this year, we don't have a lot of time to digest in between the two big meals. So I'd suggest keeping it light. If you're not really hungry, go for something more liquidy, like a soup or a salad, something just to keep you full but not to really oversaturate your stomach.
Yeah, it seems like though the ghabga is here also full of sweets, desserts, a lot of the like fatayrs and little pizzas and snacks. So
well,
I think soup is out of the equation there. Huh?
Well, if it's just about those things, try to fill yourself up before you go on healthier things, so that when you're there you just have a few things and you feel like satisfied.
Okay. And now the water intake, Dana, how important is the water intake during this upcoming holy month of Ramadan, especially we're in the very hot peak of summer too?
Since we're going to be fasting for almost 16 hours this year, it's very important. It's going to be in the middle of summer. A lot of people could face dehydration if they don't make sure that they're replenished during the day, during the night when we can eat. Good things, well, how much water should a person have?
Yeah.
It's about 1,500 milliliters, which is about 6 cups. But because we live in Kuwait, it should be 1,000 milliliters over that, so it's actually 10 cups in Kuwait. We should try to get 10 cups in. If you're not a big fan of water, there are other things that you could take in to substitute for it, but water is always the best solution.
What kind of things would you be able to take?
You could have herbal drinks as long as they're not caffeinated, so that you don't simulate the water loss. You could also have infused water, if you guys know that. It's when you have the fruits or different kinds of herbs in water and just let it soak up the flavor. That's another form of putting in. You could drink low-fat dairies. That's another way to get more fluids in.
What about, what do we have on the monitor there? Tell us, Don.
This is a picture of the healthy plates. It's the best way to control the amount of food that you're eating. As you can see, half the plate is vegetables and fruits, and the other half of the plates is grains and proteins, with a glass of low-fat dairy on the side. And this is how a normal futur or suhoor should actually look like. These are things that are not very suitable for people to be drinking, especially if you're trying to lose weight or if you're a diabetic. It's drinks that are highly saturated in simple sugars, like Vimto and Qamar
A favorite
drink.
of mine in Ramadan.
I know, I remember from last year. A piece of baklava,
Another
the
favorite of
dessert,
mine then.
has about 500 calories, and that's basically like a whole burger and fries.
Wow.
So it depends how much you want to eat.
Wow.
2 pieces of ngebat, like I said, is around 150 calories and 15 grams of carbs. So that's about all a person should be eating between their meals if they're diabetic. More things. 1 piece of ghrayba has a huge amount of calories, about 180. A piece of basbousa that's a certain weight, about 118 grams, can be exchanged for all this food. So again, it's about how much you want to eat. Here's 1 piece of ghrayba and how much food it would substitute for. And I know I'd rather eat all that food than just eat 1 little piece.
Okay, and what are we taking a look at here, Dana?
Here are all the fluids that are suitable for people to be drinking this year during Ramadan to replenish all the water loss that they're going to be facing during the day.
Your water is essential to have it all throughout once you break the fast until
Of course,
suhoor,
whenever you can, before, during, after a meal. If you're just going to drink something, I'd prefer that you drink water over anything else.
And you know, a lot of people in Kuwait, they love exercising during Ramadan, and they like to exercise before the futur time. But it's so hot now. Do you recommend that, or when do you recommend exercising?
Well, if we're talking about somebody who's a diabetic, for instance, it would be best for them to exercise after they eat, because we don't want their blood sugars to be going low and they're breaking their fast between them. But if it's a regular person that has absolutely no problems, and if they went out to exercise, nothing's going to happen to them. They should just find an air-conditioned area and work out, and that'll be fine. Try not to, nobody should be working out in the middle of the summer before futur.
It's dangerous.
It's very dangerous. Whether you're fasting or even not fasting, it's very hot outside.
Donna, you're a dietitian at Dasman Diabetes Institute. Now there's also questions about fasting for people that have diabetes. What's your views on that?
Well, it's basically the same as fasting. If you're not a diabetic, you just have to control the amount of carbohydrates that you have during your day.
I mean, is it okay for them to fast, or should they see their doctor?
No, they definitely have to see their doctors. Their doctors can tell you whether or not you're allowed to fast. Something about fasting is it's haram, or it's taboo to do something that you know is bad or can actually affect yourself negatively. And if your doctor tells you that if you fast, it's going to hurt you, then you're not allowed to fast. God lets you not fast. You can fast later on in the year. You can control your sugar and then fast later on to take that back. You can pay for a poor person. You can give money away. There's other things that you can do. God has given people that aren't allowed to fast permission, and He likes you to take that permission, so it's encouraged to do that.
Yeah, especially diabetics, they need to have regular intake of food all throughout the day.
Of course, especially if you're on injections. That's the most, not dangerous, we just worry about them the most. So definitely if you're on injections, ask your doctor, make sure that they're okay with you fasting, and if they tell you that it's not suitable for you to fast or they're worried about you, please don't.
We've spoken about the futur and the ribka. What about suhoor? Because people would like to eat a lot then too.
Well, because it's such a long time this year, it's such a long fast, I won't be very strict about the amounts that you're allowed to eat. But it's best to stay on the healthier side. Try not to eat the fried stuff. Try to stay away from desserts at night. Try to eat high fiber foods, things that'll give you energy for a long period of time, so you don't feel low in sugar during the day.
And what about sleeping right after? Some people just eat and then sleep straight away. Should you wait a while, or is that okay?
Well, usually we'd say stop eating 2 hours before you go to sleep, but that's virtually impossible in Ramadan. So at least give yourself half an hour to digest. Walk around if you can, so that you can help the digestive system, and then go to sleep. Are
there some specific foods you recommend to have for suhoor? So you don't want to have things that are maybe too salty, so you'll be thirsty all throughout the day?
Definitely. You definitely have to lower the amount of salt that you're eating. Stay away from spices that make you thirsty. Stay away from fishes. Stay away from potato chips. Anything that has excessive amount of salt, and stay away from anything that's canned, because usually they have a high amount of sodium in it, and you want to avoid things like that.
What do you recommend as a nice suhoor meal?
I would say a nice soup, maybe a lentil soup with a salad, and maybe a small sandwich or yogurt with a fruit, something light.
So the futur should be the biggest meal intake.
The futur, well, if you were to make it perfect, the futur and the suhoor would be equal sizes of medium-sized meals. Neither one would be bigger than the other, and both of them would be pretty healthy. Low fat, high in fiber.
And the futur should be a gradual thing, not like jump into it right away. It should be have a little bit, break the fast maybe, and go pray, and then come back and eat over a few hours. Definitely.
If somebody feels comfortable waiting a little bit longer, having the dates and the yogurt, and then maybe coming back, having a soup and salad, coming back, that probably would be the best way to eat anything, or try to break the fast so that you don't overdo the amount of food that you're going to eat all at once.
Donna, what other bit of advice do you have for the audience watching the weekend show tonight? Any other bit of advice you have?
Take this advantage to lose weight. Control the amount of food that you're eating. It is the month to learn self-control and self-discipline. It would be best if, instead of overindulging in food, giving away some of it to poor people, and gaining the benefits from that, or reaping the benefits from that.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to waste a lot of food in Ramadan.
That's
which is
another
very
thing.
sad, yeah.
Exactly. Probably when you're hungry, you imagine that you're going to eat all the things that you're making, but ends up that you're throwing away half of it.
And if you go out to eat as well, most of it is buffet. They change it, so
Exactly.
People just load up on their plates and they're too full to finish it.
Exactly. So it's really, really not the point of the month. The whole point of the month is that you feel with poor people and you don't overindulge in food because they don't have any food, and we should learn how to control ourselves a little more.
Very well said, Donna, and we'd like to thank you so much for your time with us tonight right here on the Weekend Show.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you so much. We're speaking to Donna Salem, dietitian at Dasman Diabetes Institute. And